It's me, Vicky Marie. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in this crazy world we're living in. So I hope as you're watching this video, you're well. If you don't know me, my name is Vicky Marie. I talk about crime. I am based in Spain, in Europe, and I am also a Spanish teacher in my other life, as well as being a YouTuber, I suppose. I am a YouTuber, I suppose. So in this video today, Friday, we're going to talk about Sebastian Rogers. Now, we haven't spoken about Sebastian Rogers for quite a long time because there's been no news really, but the FBI have released an update of the case. I think the FBI, reading between the lines, I think they do think that Sebastian has come to some sort of foul play, but not from his parents, or his step-parents, his stepfather. So this is the case of Sebastian, who went missing last year. He's been missing well over a year now. 15 years old when he went missing. He's got mild autism, apparently. Just disappeared, went to bed, had the day out with his mum that day. Katie Proudfoot, they went for bowling and then for dinner afterwards, and they went home, went to bed round about 9 o'clock. And when Katie got up in the morning, he was not there. So Katie's come under loads of suspicion, as has his stepdad, Chris. I personally don't think they've got anything to do with it. Then there's his biological dad, who I also don't think has got anything to do with Sebastian's disappearance. But he's been sort of, not acting properly, in my opinion, casting shade on Katie and Chris when he's not, his history of domestic violence and, basically PDF, because when he first started seeing Katie, it said that she was around 14, 15 years old. So, he's quite a lot older than her. So, people in glass houses shouldn't throw stones, should they? So he's thrown a lot of stones at Katie and Chris. They haven't thrown any stones at him, to be fair. And then, of course, Tony, the phony, got involved, the media guru. He's gone all quiet, hasn't he? Funny that, isn't it? So it's a very strange case. Just generally, there's been a lot of animosity between, mainly from Seth's side, to be honest. A lot of, as I say, accusations, a lot of talk about, Katie wasn't a good mom, or Chris Proudfoot's not a good stepdad. He's definitely in favour of corporal punishment and things, which people don't agree with. Doesn't make him a murderer, though, does it? But anyway, so it's we're going to talk about the case more when we go through it. But very interesting update from the FBI that's just come out, because they've tried to dispel some of the conspiracy theories that have been, just created by Seth and Tony the phony, and this AI creative intelligence, Dog the bounty hunter, Nick the hat. None of them got normal names, have they? Just trying to use this case of this poor boy, who it seems like something bad has befallen him, whatever it is, who knows, using it just to make money. It's horrible, really horrible, the way that they've dealt with this case. But anyway, we only deal with facts, at least. I mean, we can talk about what might have happened to Sebastian, but, I'm not interested in casting shade on Chris and Kate, whether they're good parents, bad parents, or whatever. I don't know, because I don't know them, but I don't think they've had anything to do with Sebastian's disappearance. And also, everyone, I believe, in this case has passed lie detectors, which I know is not 100% certain that means they've got nothing to do with it. But, the FBI use it as a pretty good indicator, don't they? Even though it can't stand up in court and stuff like that, they use it as a tool in their investigations. No one's a suspect, according to the police, but then nobody's been ruled out either. Do you know, it is like one of those things. It is a complete mystery. I think this is why it's captivated everybody. Also, just Sebastian's little face and how vulnerable he was. You know, Seth has come out about all these things about his past that he should never have spoken about, things that had happened to Sebastian. As if Sebastian one day does walk in safe and well, I think he'd be pretty mortified as a 16-year-old boy to know that all his, you know, his dirty laundry has been put out there. And that has been by Seth, not by Katie and Chris. So anyway, that's what we're going to talk about in this video. So first of all, I'd just like to say thank you to people. Now, what I want to say, though, before I start is, if you believe that Katie and Chris have had something to do with it, you're entitled to your views. You can put your opinions on here as long as they're respectful to everybody else and to me. You know, I've taken a lot of criticism over the Sebastian Rogers case. Because you know what I find is people that are obsessed with free speech, what they mean is free speech as long as you agree with me. You know, so if I want to say I don't believe that Katie and Chris have had anything to do with it, that's my right to say, isn't it? So you have to appreciate that as well. And I know people get emotional because they care, and I understand that. Care about Sebastian. But, you know, it's Katie and Chris that are living it every day. It's Katie who's getting up every morning. She doesn't know where her son is. You know, if you're down on Katie, you don't even know Sebastian or Katie. So, you know, you shouldn't really, without any evidence. I mean, don't get me wrong, if the evidence came up tomorrow to show that Katie was complicit, I'd be the first person to then go for them. But you can't go for people, especially a mother. She's been through a Christmas, a Mother's Day, the birthday. She's gone through all those things without knowing where her son is. You know, have some compassion, for God's sake, unless you've actually got evidence. But of course, there is no evidence. So I want to say thank you to everyone for liking, for watching, for subscribing. Very special thank you to my members. Another fun members live last night. Members lives every Thursday. We talk about quite a few things last night. I think we had quite a lot of fun. I hope you all enjoyed it as much as I did. Certainly lifted my mood after a bit of a traumatic day yesterday. So yeah, that's what the members lives are for. We talk about different things. We have a laugh, you know, songs, lots of songs. And yeah, thank you so much for being members, because that means a lot to me. So why not think about becoming a member and joining in on the members' lives every Thursday. Thank you to those of you who've bought me a Ko-fi, those of you who've PayPal me, those of you who've bought merchandise, which is on my Ko-fi page. Thank you to everyone who sent me emails. Join the Discord. Thank you to everyone who's in the Discord. Thank you to anyone who's contributed to my channel in any positive way. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Okay, let me take the banner off now, and then I'm going to say my hellos. Hi to those of you, to my lovely lurkers, those of you who like watching but don't like joining the chat. Thank you so much for watching. Hi to the loathsome lurkers, sad people. Hi to replay crew, of course. Thank you for watching. And let's go in the chat now and see what people are saying so far about this. So, hi Angel, hi Lily, hi Bluebell, hi Admit. Thank you, Admit, for the super sticker. Let's put my thank you. Oh, thank you so much. That's really appreciated. Just need to put my little thank you. Thank you. So yeah, very mysterious case, this one, isn't it? I think this is, you know, I mean, there's lots of people go missing, and unfortunately lots of children that go missing. But this case just, when you know, there's two ways you can look at it. You can think that Katie had something, but when you hear this update from the FBI, you'll see that it's very unlikely that Katie had anything to do with that. I don't think the FBI are thinking that she did, and they've got their reasons for it, and you'll hear it in the update from the FBI. But, you know, who knows? You know, at the end of the day, yeah, I think you can gift memberships, admit. You can gift memberships, but you can't choose who you gift them to. That's the only thing. So if you gift a membership, which is very kind if you do, you can't choose who it goes to. That's the only thing. I agree, Bluebell. Doesn't look like Sebastian is safe and well. Very sad, isn't it? Very, very sad. He can't be. You know, he's 15 years old. He can't have supported himself for over a year, can he? Just impossible. You know, it's an adult can go missing and they can go, you know, get a job somewhere or change their identity, etc. Sebastian couldn't do that, couldn't have done that. So it's unlikely, isn't it, that Sebastian is still alive, unfortunately. And the only hope for Sebastian is that somebody may have abducted him, or he may be with some member of the family somewhere. There's been talk about that, you know. But I think Seth, the biological father, I don't think he knows what's happened to Sebastian, because he does seem genuinely so sad about it. I don't like the way Seth has gone about things, like, as I say, criticising Katie and Chris. I feel like Seth is still in love with Katie. He's never quite got over the fact that they've split up. To me, that seems obvious. And, you know, it's manifesting in him with sort of nastiness towards them. And I don't like that. But I do understand that, I do think that Seth is, you know, heartbroken about Sebastian going missing. I do think that it must be the most awful thing to live through. But of course, it's like that for Katie as well. So, you know, I just don't understand his animosity towards Katie, but I think it's based on the fact he's never quite got over the fact that she left him and she's got a new relationship. That's how I feel about it anyway. But I don't know any of them. So it could all, you know, personally. So I can only go by what he presents on his social media, because he's got his own channel, of course. They've got these bloody memberships that go up to $49.99. You know, all that just seems a bit. And I think, but, you know, I think Tony's behind that. Phony Tony, Button Mushroom Tony. Don't like him. Tik-Tok Tony, he's gone very quiet, Tony. So I don't know, Tony Mathis, I don't know why that is, but and then this AI creative intelligence that's like, you know, for Dog the Bounty Hunter and Nick the Hat and bloody, what's the other one? We've got a weird name as well. That is just the biggest scam ever and the biggest load of rubbish they keep coming out with. So I don't agree with any of that, but I do feel for Seth, really, from the bottom of my heart. I feel for all of them, and Chris the same. I don't see that Chris Proudfoot didn't care about Sebastian. I think he did care about him, and he certainly cares about Katie. So he'll be caring about Katie. But anyway, we'll see what the FBI has to say, and you'll have your view. Everyone's got their view. Some people won't be shaken from the fact that they think that the Proudfoots had something to do with this. But, you know, I think it's pretty impossible from what the FBI say that they did, in, you know, unless they dug him out through a tunnel or something. So I don't know if anybody's seen this, you know, this update, but I'm going to read it to you anyway. Yes, Bluebell is still doing YouTubes, but not very often. Not very often now. I think he did one a couple of weeks ago. He posts quite a few, you know, he puts posts, the community posts on more. He did one the other day. Yeah, he's still doing his YouTube channel, but not very often. He's very down on the police as well, of course, Seth. So not only he says the police aren't communicating with him, but, you know, he turns up every now and again at the police station, doesn't he? And sort of has a go at, says they're all sat in there not earning their money. Sheriff Craddock, is a waste of space, and so that's not doing any favors, is it? If you want the police to find your missing child, I don't think it's a good idea to go slagging off the police the way he does. I mean, you can criticize the police. Criticism and slagging someone off is completely two different things. If you're going to say, look, go around to the police station, look, please, can you do more? Because I feel like you're not, everyone has the right to do that. But to turn up at the police station, of course, they're not going to let him in if he's going to be, saying horrible things to them, and stuff like that. You've got to be at least be civil. And complain, get angry in one way, but you've got to get angry in a measured way, if that makes sense, haven't you? Because you want the police on your side, and I believe that the police are genuinely want to find Sebastian. Of course they do. It's better for them if they find him than if they don't find him. It's a better look for them if they find him than if they don't. So I'm glad the FBI has put out this update, because that's the other thing. You need updates, even if there's not really much to say, because people, this case, like the Summer Wells case, it's a similar case, isn't it? Don't want it to go cold completely. Want to keep people's interest in it. Keep Sebastian's name out there and his face out there. You just never know if one day someone might either see him, or someone might remember something that they didn't realise was important. That channel is still there, Bluebell. It's still there. We'll have a look at it after we've looked at the FBI update. You want to make sure that your child doesn't get forgotten, don't you? So you want the police on your side for that, because there's so many missing children out there in Tennessee. There's loads, all over the world, isn't there? All these missing people. You can't, I try and spotlight as many as I can and go back to them every now and again, but you can't keep up with all of them. Unfortunately, it's awful, isn't it, really? Because every day there's more, but Sebastian I've been covering since he first went missing so Sebastian went missing the same day that Madeline Soto went missing, on the 26th of February last year. So that's well over a year now. We're coming into September now. Before you know it, it'll be 2 years that he's been missing. Just awful, isn't it? You just can't imagine how they're even getting up in the morning, and they must be thinking, well, where is he? And, there'll be all sorts of things going through your head. I'll just let you know what my own personal view is, that I think Sebastian ran away and something befell him. So either he had an accident or some foul. I think the answers lie right in that neighbourhood, one way or another, either foul play or accident. Don't think he'll have gone far from home. The only way that could be, isn't it, if he just happened upon someone who got him in a car and took him off. I don't think that. I think he is roundabout somewhere there. But the police, and I also think the police probably have got a good idea. They've got no evidence. It's all about the evidence, isn't it? So anyway, we'll see. So let's have a look. At the update. So this is the FBI website, searching for Sebastian Rogers. And the FBI is offering a reward of up to $50,000. Now that's a lot, isn't it? So, remember when we've been covering the Travis Decker case, who's the murderous dad who's gone on the run, it's only $20,000 being offered for information to catch him. And he's murdered three of his three daughters, and he's a danger to the public. And he has only 20,000. Now here's Sebastian, which Sebastian I don't think is a danger to the public, but obviously something's befallen him. Why are they offering? It's quite a big reward, isn't it? And of course, if you count in then the crap that AI intelligence and Dog the Bounty Hunter, they're offering $250,000 reward or something ridiculous like that. It's only because they know that he's never going to be found properly, because there's no way they've got $250,000. Dog the Bounty Hunter, he's on his arse because he's doing, happy birthday videos and things like that. He's past his sell-by date, isn't he, Dog the Bounty Hunter? Unfortunately, and everything he does now, to me, it just reeks of desperation, using things like this to sort of, prop up his failing reputation. He was good back in the day when he had his TV program and everything. I used to love watching it, but now I've got no respect for him whatsoever. Just horrible what he's doing. And always judge a man by the company that he keeps, they're saying. You've only got to look at the company he keeps with Nick the Hat and bloody Hong or whoever they're called, all these weirdos that are already, felons themselves. So you think, Dog the Bounty Hunter, unfortunately, he's lost the plot, in my opinion. So here's this little face. I think the other thing is this, his little smile, Sebastian, is like, and I think he's got that sort of, because of his mild autism and whatever, he's sort of earnest, isn't he? And I don't know, he comes over. But having said that, he was 15 years old. So probably out of all these photos, this is probably the most up-to-date one, I would say. And all teenagers are difficult, whether they're autistic or not. Teenage years are difficult. We've talked about it a million times. So, maybe Sebastian had got involved with some people he shouldn't have got involved with. Maybe he snuck out that night, to go and meet someone, but I don't know. Hi, David. Hi, Pamela. Yeah, that's fine. You don't believe he ran away, but then what happened to him? Because anyway, you'll see what the FBI have got to say here. So, what can have happened to him if he didn't run away? I think 100% he ran away because there's nothing else that could have happened. Or he got, abducted, of course, or he had an accident. So now, first thing that's really irritating about this FBI update is they've got the date wrong. Think, for fuck's sake, sorry, excuse my French, but that's the sort of thing that breeds conspiracy theories. When the FBI, the FBI should get things right, shouldn't we? We all get things wrong. We do. We're all human, and I'm sure lots of times I'll spell something wrong or get the wrong date or forget a name or whatever. But I'm not the FBI. So they've got on here on February the 26th, 2025. Well, of course, it wasn't 2025. It was not this year. I mean, and I really had to think about it. I was like, God, it was last year, wasn't it? I was saying, I think it was 2024. Because you think the FBI are going to be right, don't you, in what they say. Anyway, so on February the 26th, 2024, Katie Proudfoot went to wake up her 14-year-old son for school. I thought he was 15 when he disappeared. Wasn't he 15? Right, I'm going to have to check that now. He was 15 when he disappeared, and he would have been 16, isn't it? Oh, so that's two mistakes they've made on there. Oh, God, just winds me up something bad. Oh, God, if you can't rely on the FBI for reliable information, who can you rely on? Me. Yeah, he would now be 16 years old. He was 15 when he disappeared, for God's sake. God, FBI, get it right. And in fact, because I left a comment on something saying that they'd got the date wrong, I'm going to have to add to it that his age is wrong. That's very irritating, isn't it? So he's 15 when he went missing. He's 16 now. God. For God's sake. Hi, Miss Lee. Doesn't exactly doesn't doesn't exactly, you know, make you confident in them, does it? But anyway, yes, I've made extensive searches, Bluebell. There have been sniffer dogs. They've been through the house. Forensics have been there. You know, they apparently Kate and Chris have been totally cooperative. But anyway, let's see if we can believe what the rest of the FBI say, eh? So Katie Proudfoot went to wake up her 15-year-old son for school, and to her surprise, he was nowhere to be found. Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers had spent the previous day with his mother. The pair shopped at a department store, played video games at a bowling alley, and had dinner at a local restaurant before heading home for the evening. So we all saw that Texas Roadhouse video that, you know, all these conspiracy theories made a big thing of. They examined Katie's every move as if she was, you know, signaling to someone and looking round, you know, as if you're not allowed to look round. She was on her phone. Then there was the green hoodie person. I mean, it was ridiculous. After returning to their home in Hendersonville, Tennessee, Katie and Sebastian prepared for bed, saying goodnight sometime between 9 and 10 p.m. And Katie told us a little bit before 10 p.m. she heard a loud bang coming from Sebastian's room. So she yelled out to ask him if it was okay. I think that might have been him going out the window, but I don't know. I don't know where it was. I've no idea. Nobody knows. To which he responded that he was, says Detective Brandon Carter from the Sumner County Sheriff's Office. She told him to go to bed because they had to be up early for school the next morning. So now Katie's story has never changed as far as that's concerned, is it? She's always said the same right from the beginning. So Katie called her husband, who was out of town in southwest Tennessee for work, and the two of them spoke for nearly 2 hours before she went to sleep around midnight. So then there was a lot of talk about that. Oh, and she was talking to him for 2 hours. I've spoke to partners for longer than 2 hours. If you're not together, obviously, on the phone. You know, when I've had partners who maybe have been working away in the UK or just living in a different part of Spain or whatever, I think it's quite easy to have a 2-hour conversation with your partner if you're not actually together at the time. I just don't understand this. What was she talking about for 2 hours? That must come from people who don't talk to their partners, because any partner I've ever had, I could easily be on the phone for 2 hours for them if they weren't around, you know, if they were away for some reason. So the next morning was the beginning of what would become a massive search effort for Sebastian. Oh, and the other thing is, of course, if you've ever seen Chris on any YouTube thing, he likes to talk. You know, some men do like to talk, some men don't. So some men, it would be impossible to have a 2 hour conversation with them. But Chris is not one of them. You know, Chris, he likes to talk. Once he gets going, you can't shut him up. He's probably had a little drinky poos or whatever he likes to drink about it as well. You know, and you can talk on. And he was working away on his own. You know, it's easy to maintain a conversation if you're a talkative person. I think, anyway. So the next morning was the beginning of what would become a massive search effort for Sebastian. Katie called her husband and told him she couldn't find Sebastian, that he wasn't in his room or anywhere in the house. Katie got into her car and drove around the neighbourhood and to Sebastian's school, which was less than a mile away from their house, searching for Sebastian before returning home. And during this time, her husband called the local emergency communication centre to report Sebastian as missing. And in the early days of the search, it seemed Sebastian vanished without a trace. And this case was kind of a question mark, says FBI Nashville Special Agent Robert Barrett. Mum wakes up and he's just gone. There's a question mark and we've got to figure out what happened. So that question mark only grew bigger as the search went on. So then, of course, it was revealed that apparently he did not take any extra. I mean, he was dressed, but he didn't take any clothes. He wasn't wearing any shoes. Now that was a strange interview that Sheriff Craddock gave once, where he said, what was it? How did he put it? You know, it was very cryptic, because he said, although, you know, what is it? Although Sebastian's mum says all his shoes are accounted for, we don't know that he wasn't wearing any shoes. That was sort of like all his shoes were at home, but we can't say that he wasn't wearing any shoes. Strange thing to say that, isn't it? Why they're not certain that he wasn't wearing any shoes? If Katie said all his shoes were accounted for, why is there any suggestion that, because he seemed to make it sound as if, you know, yeah, shoes are accounted for, but we can't say he's not wearing any shoes. Like, right, okay. I remember specifically him saying that. There's a couple of things that I remember about the, you know, when I first saw Katie being interviewed. There was one strange thing that Katie said. She said, so I got in the car and I went off to look for him, but he was already, and then she stopped. And it was like, already what? He was already gone, or he was already, what was he already? You know, and she never finished that sentence. So I think sometimes as well, the problem is when they're being interviewed, you know, there's certain information they've said, Chris Proudfoot has said, there's certain things they can't say. Because if somebody is under suspicion for taking Sebastian, there are things, you know, that maybe the police will know, but they don't want to be made public, because if they ever do manage to catch anyone that has supposedly done something to Sebastian, you know, I'm thinking of like in that vicinity, in the neighbourhood, people in the neighbourhood. I think that's where the answer lies for Sebastian, in my opinion. But of course, I've got to be careful what they say. You know, there'll be things that the police have said, look, you can say this, but you can't say that. And these things that are coming out now are first, really. So he didn't take any clothes, shoes, money, food, or his cell phone, said Carter. His cell phone and cash were both lying on the dining room table where they had been the day before, when he went to bed. And according to Katie, there was a small yellow flashlight that she thinks was missing, but that was the only thing that appeared to be gone from the house. You know, did he go out with a flashlight? And of course, some video has emerged, haven't there, of somebody wandering around the neighbourhood. Was it Sebastian, or was it whoever did whatever they did to Sebastian? You know, I think the FBI think this foul play here, because I don't think they'd be offering $50,000 otherwise. It's a big amount of money to offer, isn't it? I mean, it's a real mystery, isn't it? You know, that's why people are so, you know, everyone's got their view on it. Oh, thank you, Admit. That's very kind. Hi, Shauna. Does anyone see who got the membership? Did anyone see? Because I'm going to have to go on to my other thing to see who got the membership. Where is it? Oh, Dry Spell. There you go. There's a free membership for Dry Spell. Thank you so much. Right, let me go back to where I was. I want to put my thank you up. I admit you've been very kind. You're spoiling me, what with songs that you're sending, and now you've gifted a membership and sent a super sticker. Thank you so much. Thank you. Very kind. And of course, you've been a member for 9 months, because we saw that last night, didn't we? Thank you. Yeah, Dry Spell. Right, so where am I? Yeah, I mean, don't be shy. Let me know what you think. If you think, whatever you think, you're entitled to say whatever you want as long as you're not nasty about it, of course. If you think Katie had something to do with it, or Chris did, or anyone did, don't be shy of saying it, just as long as it's said in a respectful manner. So, the first week in the search for Sebastian was a massive community and interagency effort between the Sumner County Sheriff's Office, Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, Emergency Management Agency, Hendersonville Police, Gallatin Police, Tennessee Highway Patrol, the FBI, Metro Police, Wilson County Sheriff's Office, Sumner County EMS, Sumner County Emergency Response Team, and several other agencies throughout Tennessee. Now, we have to remember that. I mean, I've got a playlist, as I try and remember to link it under this video. We followed it from the beginning, and you can't say that the police didn't look for Sebastian. There was loads of searches done. There were cadaver dog searches. Remember the cadaver dogs, didn't they go to the retention pond and then seem to lose the scent? The retention pond was drained and nothing was found. Then they actually searched a landfill because it was thought that did Sebastian go out and take rubbish to the bin or whatever. They searched a landfill right in the early days. That was one of the first things they did, was search a landfill, which made you think that had Sebastian been hiding in the bin, or had something happened to Sebastian, somebody put him in the bin. It's like, because anyway, it was searched and nothing was found. Nothing has been found. Not his glasses, not a piece of clothing. In all the searches that were done, probably not so many searches being done now, over a year and a half later, but certainly in the beginning, there were a lot of searches done, weren't they? So the search consisted of about 4.5 mile radius around Sebastian's home. Said Carter, there were roughly 2,000 searchers equipped with an app tracking their movements. The searchers could also use the app to plot things on a map that they observed while they were out searching. The total area they covered within that 4.5 mile radius was equivalent to a combined 44,000 acres. And they found nothing, nada, zilch, not his glasses. I'll say no piece of clothing, not even a sort of a scrap of clothing like caught on a branch or whatever, nothing. So in addition to ground searches, was he in someone's house? This is what I think about Sebastian. Did he go to somebody else's house? Roundabout, possibly. So everything's a possibility, isn't it? In addition to ground searches, law enforcement employed every available resource at their disposal to locate Sebastian. Fire departments, mounted patrols, ATVs, search and rescue canines, drones, helicopters, and even an aeroplane. During day 2 of the search, the Sumner County Sheriff's Department reached out to the FBI for assistance and specific resources that could potentially help find Sebastian, who has high-functioning autism. I contacted our FBI Child Abduction Rapid Deployment Team for initial consults, and then they brought in the FBI Behavioral Analysis Unit to assist, said Barrett. The BAU shared a statistic that around 50% of autistic children are prone to wander. They are also naturally drawn to bodies of water, and 71% of fatal outcomes involving missing autistic children were a result of drowning. And I have seen that many, many times, because of course now you take it more of an interest in it. Many, many autistic children since Sebastian disappeared have been, gone through my Twitter feed, missing autistic child, sadly found deceased in water. Just seems so common. So that information helped us to focus search efforts in and around bodies of water. The search team drained ponds, searched waterways and lakes looking for Sebastian. In addition, law enforcement searched almost every home in the neighbourhood. Video recordings from nearby homes and a dashboard camera in Katie's car showed that Katie and Sebastian did not leave the house after their return home from dinner, and that no other cars were seen coming or going from Katie's home during the evening and early morning of hours of the night or day that Sebastian disappeared. So this is what they're saying. You know, video recordings showed they did not leave the house. So, well, you know, he must have left the house at some point, hasn't he? Because he's disappeared. So he's either left the house of his own volition or he's been taken out of the house, possibly by Katie. But why has it not been picked up on anything? No other cars seen coming or going from Katie's home. You know, despite the fact that every now and again you get a bit of sort of clickbait. You know, people saying, "Oh, car seen at the end of the road," and this, that, and the other. Well, that's not what the FBI are saying. So who do you believe? You know, you've got to believe the FBI, actually, haven't you? Really, you've got to, because they're the FBI. Why? You know, I don't know. Just, it's a mad case. It really is. So, in addition, law enforcement searched almost every home in the neighbourhood. So they did search other homes then. So maybe it's not in somebody else's house. I have no idea. We have followed through on every tip that has come in, said Josh Savley, Special Agent in charge for the Criminal Investigation Division at the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation. Some of those tips we continue to examine at a deeper level. That's interesting. But the vast majority we have cleared as either being irrelevant or ended with no results. The lack of answers in the search for Sebastian has pushed the community to widely share the story on online platforms. But law enforcement reminds the public to be wary of misinformation from unverified sources. You know, and honestly, there's so much clickbait out there. It's just like, you know, I could do a video tomorrow and put some crap in the title. You know that you're going to get a load of views for it because people are interested in Sebastian. But, you know, to me, you've still got to sleep at night. You know, what you're going to put lies up there. You can't put lies up there. You know, it's not the responsible thing to do. It's not fair to Sebastian. It's not fair to his family. It's not fair to anybody. So they say that promptly sharing tips and information with the Sumner County Sheriff's Office, the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, or the FBI is the best way to help find Sebastian. And then it gives you the details of how to contact him. Contact them. I can see you're all having a chat. Yeah, I wondered if he'd hid in a bin. Yeah, that was another thing, admit, wasn't it? That they were saying, so there was a building site nearby. Now, did he fall in a hole on the building site and then get covered in by rubble or whatever? I know Steve Fisher, the private investigator, when he was looking closely into it, he said he was there on that day and there was the building work was all carrying on. You know, holes were getting filled in. There was, you know, was Sebastian buried? Was he hiding? Because apparently he liked to hide, Sebastian. Was he hiding somewhere and the hole got filled in? And how would they ever find him if that is the case? And didn't they look in those holes? You know, it's heartbreaking, isn't it, really? You know, yeah. Was he on that building site and he got buried under a load of rubble? We don't know. Anyway, continue to share Sebastian's official missing persons flyer and don't wait, said Sheriff Eric Craddock. If you see something, say something immediately. If you call, right then we can get someone on the hot trail. Sebastian was 5'5" tall and around 110 to 15 pounds when he was last seen. He has brown hair and eyes that look hazel or brown. He would now be 16 years old. He has medical conditions, including autism, that may impair his ability to return safely without assistance. And the FBI is offering a reward of up to $50,000 for information leading to Sebastian's whereabouts. The Sumner County Sheriff's Office, TBI, and FBI are still working collaboratively, sharing tips and information, and urging the public to work with law enforcement in the hopes of bringing Sebastian home. Now they're debunking some rumors versus reality, and I think this is very important. I think we have to take this for what they say. They're doing this for a reason, and these are some, of course, of the clickbait that's gone on. So 2 rumors in the search for Sebastian have been disproven. 1, the flashlight theory. A house down the street from Sebastian's had security video footage from the night of his disappearance, and the camera, angled in a direction that happened to be facing Sebastian's backyard, captured 2 moving lights. Now, do you remember this? The video of the lights, and people were saying, is this... I've seen videos that have tried to make out those lights were like Chris and Katie carrying Sebastian out to the car. I mean, honest to God, it's unbelievable the crap that people will come up with just to get a few views. So at first glance, the lights appeared to be right in Sebastian's yard, suggesting that someone was lurkers with 2 flashlights in hand, which could be a potential suspect given to Sebastian's disappearance that same night. However, when law enforcement further investigated the video, they disproved this theory. I wonder if I can get that up any closer. No. The dark sky and camera angle combined had distorted the security footage. When they examined the video in relation to the topography of the area, they found the lights were actually coming from a pair of truck headlights, flickering through the trees from a street atop a hill about 300 yards away. Law enforcement further investigated to confirm that the flashlights were actually headlights. They also created an overlay of the security footage in daylight with a topographic map. In the daylight, it would have been clear that the lights were coming from the hill. So that's what they say about those lights. So there you go. Now this next one, to me, this was always obvious. It was a load of rubbish. It was just somebody walking past Katie as she was getting into the car. Sebastian was round the other side of the car getting in. Katie was getting in the driver's side, and someone walked past, and oh my God, that AI created Dog the Bounty Hunter, AI creative intelligence. I mean, that's a misnomer if I ever heard one. Made a big deal of it. This person in the green hoodie, had abducted Sebastian, etc. In it together with Katie. So a video surfaced of Sebastian and Katie in the parking lot of the local restaurant they visited the night Sebastian disappeared. In the video, a person in a green hoodie briefly interacts with Katie, and suspicions arose that in this short interaction, the person in the green hoodie was planning something with Katie related to Sebastian's disappearance. Law enforcement spoke with the employees at the restaurant, who confirmed this person in the green hoodie was a frequent customer and helped identify them. Law enforcement went out to meet this person who happened to be wearing the same green hoodie in the video and confirmed they were not a suspect. Now, to me, that was always obvious anyway, but, you know, a million YouTube channels have made a million clicks out of it. Now, it's unusual, I think, for the FBI to come out and do a post like this with these debunkings. This is the first time that they've come out in public and said all this, you know, so that's interesting. And I'm just wondering why they've suddenly decided now to do that. I would definitely like to think that they are still investigating this. Yeah, crooked cop. Why though, Shauna? You know, I know some cops are crooked, but just give me a reason why they would be saying this if it wasn't true. You know, this is but this is not a corruption case. It's not money. There's nothing, no money in it or stuff like that. That's the sort of thing that police are normally corrupting, isn't it? Why? If somebody give me a reason. And then what did happen then? Did the police kidnap him? You know, what? No, you know, sometimes people just want to believe conspiracy theories. What I've found from my channel is people who believe one conspiracy theory, they're normally every case that you put up, whatever the conspiracy theory is, they believe it because they don't trust the police, or, you know, and I know the police can't always be trusted. I'm not naive in that, but I don't see why in a case like this, do you? I mean, you know, there's no money involved. You know, it's not like bribery and corruption case. There I would be more likely to believe that the police there might be something in it for them. But what's in it for them with this case? You know, what's their advantage? Why would crooked in what? You know? Yeah, I agree, Dave. I think it is sort of a simple case in one way. Something has befallen Sebastian. He's either run away, or while he popped out, for whatever reason he popped out, he's come to some harm. And it could be. If it's not that, then it is something to do with Katie and Chris. But then how could they have done it? You know, with all the CCTV and everything, and the police have investigated into it. It feels like, you know, if you're saying that the police are crooked, it's like they're just saying that Katie and Chris haven't got anything to do with it, but really they have. But why would they do that? You know, you've got to think about logic. You know, the logical thing is there is no reason whatsoever for the police to do a cover-up in this case. You know, they won't solve it. I do think they know more. I do think they know more that they're not saying. Maybe eventually they'll let drip bits and pieces, I don't know, like they are now, because this is the first time that they've come out with this. But who knows? We don't know. You know, it seems likely, doesn't it, that an accident might easily have befallen him. You know, and these things do happen. You know, there was a person in Spain went missing, and was found years later, had fallen down the side of a building site, fallen down the side of it, and just never been discovered for years, for 2 years or something. And you just think, how could that even happen? But it did happen. People have accidents. I saw a case in America where they were looking for a woman, and she had a massive garden, and she'd fell down the hill and was at the bottom of the hill in her own garden. But of course, it wasn't just like a little garden. And she was never found, and there was big searches for well, she was found eventually. Accidents happen. People have accidents. And, you know, sometimes people aren't found for quite a long time. There's probably people out there who've had accidents that have never been found, you know. And, you know, because the other thing is, I mean, it's different nowadays. If people have got their phones with them, you can normally track, you know, where they last were, or at least the vicinity. But if they if people go off hiking, you know, or go off into the woods or whatever, they could easily have an accident. and never people, maybe there's no coverage, cell phone coverage. They might not have even told people they were going to the woods that day or hiking that day. Sometimes people, especially if they live on their own, they don't tell everybody where they're going, every minute of every day. And sometimes you go to places where there's no cell phone coverage, taking your dog for a walk, or I don't know, just going for a walk on yourself, or going to get some air, or doing whatever you want to do. And people have accidents. It does happen. So I don't know if that's what happened in Sebastian's case, but my instinct is telling me that. But and I'm always right. I know I'm only joking. I'm not always right, but that's my instincts, and of course we've all got our own instincts. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, woman falling down a gap in the wall, went up in the. Oh my God! Found many years later. I mean, could you imagine that? Imagine if your family member just goes missing, and then see. I don't know about that case, David. I don't know the case. Here's another case that Admit's talking about. And it's interesting what you're saying there, Admit, because of course that's what they say happened to Caleb Harris, wasn't it? That's an American case. They say he fell down a manhole and ended up in that water place. I don't know about that, but that's what they're saying, that the manhole cover he was walking around at night and the manhole cover was off and he slipped down it. But accidents do happen. But I was just thinking about that case David was talking about. So imagine, I don't know if she was married or whatever, but imagine if your wife went missing. You go to the police and you say, oh, my wife's disappeared, and they can't find. You would be the prime suspect as well as the husband, for disposing of him. But then I suppose you would think that the police would go looking in the loft. But they looked for Tia Sharp in the loft twice before. I think it was twice before they found her the third time. She was in the loft and the police searched up there. So it's difficult, isn't it? Difficult to know exactly what happened to this boy. But the sad truth is, it doesn't look very good, does it? Whatever has happened, whether it's been an accident, whether somebody's done something to him, he has not supported himself for a year and a half. Definitely not. So the best case scenario is that somebody has got him somewhere and they're looking after it. Yeah, David, Tia, it was the grandma, wasn't it? She could smell something. She went to the police because she could smell something finally. And they went back and searched again and found Tia, but they'd been up there twice. So it's not as easy as you think, is it, to find a body? But it does concern me, this building work roundabout. Is Sebastian in? And I just think, well, they're not going to dig all that up, are they? So then you think, this is going to be a case. Is this going to be a case of just never found? Not even his remains. It's awful, isn't it? And as time goes on, they'll be releasing those bloody, hate those things. They do it with Summer Wells, don't they? And that releasing these photos, age advanced photos that never, in my opinion, look anything like them. But and that'll be it with Sebastian. When he's 20, 30, terrible for the family. It's so awful just to never know what's happened to him. And to wonder, is he still alive somewhere? Is he, being hurt still somewhere? Or is he at peace? At least if he is deceased, he's at peace. The thought of anything bad happening to him, ongoing, is even worse, I think. But the not knowing, it must drive you mad, must drive you crazy. Right, let's have a little look at see what Seth has been up to on his YouTube. He hasn't been doing much on it. The only reason I know is because I am subscribed and I do follow it. See what's going on. Let's have a look at his YouTube channel. Ah, where has it gone? Yeah. So this is his YouTube channel, but he hasn't done a live for a month. We looked at that video. Has he done any other? I did an interview on May the 21st, where he was, let's just have a quick look at that. He was outside the police office. He was very down on the police.
I'm Sebastian Rogers' father.
Well, talk to a little bit. How long has it been since that?
15 years.
What has that been like?
Just
calling and putting in tips. But when I follow up on a tip, and the police departments in those locations haven't ever heard of Sumner County, or have never heard that my son, that tells me they're not doing their job. They're letting my son's case go cold, not me.
So yeah, he was outside this was in May this year, May the 21st. He was outside the police station slagging off the police. It's not a good idea, really, is it? So obviously they're not going to cooperate with him. Whatever you think of the police, this is not a good idea to do, is it? If you want to be, if you want your son to be found, you've got to cooperate with the police. Up to a point, you can criticize them. Criticism and slagging off are two different things. Don't, making a big fuss like this, going outside there and calling them this, that, and the other, in my opinion, is not the way to go about it. So
A parent demands answers. We demand answers because our part is missing. I'm in the process of writing a law, and I'm going to need support to push this law into Congress. And it's a federal.
Yeah, then he was talking about this Sebastian's law. So he says it's his idea. And then I think Katie and Chris were saying it was their idea. I don't know. There was even an argument over that. They can't get together and agree on anything. But I think, Seth has lost a lot of support. Someone had mentioned that in the chat. I think it was Admit. He has lost a lot of support. And, to be honest, it's through his own doing and through Tony the phony's doing. I mean, what's happened to him? Where's he disappeared to? 1 minute he was all over trying to, using Seth like a puppet to try and earn money. And now he's sort of disappeared. Let's have a look at the channel again. So he's got 10.9 thousand subscribers. I'm sure he used to have more than that. 10.9 thousand. Now keep an eye on his subscribers. But of course, then he set up this membership thing, which, to be honest, you've got private first class, sergeant, chief warrant officer, captain, $49.99 a month. That is like trying to make money out of your son's disappearance, isn't it? Really? I mean, what are they getting for that? Is he doing members only videos? Don't know. Is he doing members only videos? Don't think he is. Can't see any anyway. Members only live chats. I don't think he does any. You can't, people will only be fooled so long, Seth. If you say you're going to do members only live chats, and then you don't actually, there's not one members only live chat on there. So you'd be a bit annoyed if you were paying $49.99 a month and you weren't even getting what you're supposed to be getting for your money. So let's have a look at his posts. So a day ago he put this up. This is his poster. Information sought by Dog the Bounty Hunter. For God's sake, forget Dog the Bounty Hunter. Have you seen me? $500,000 reward. Absolute load of rubbish. Oh, so 6 days ago, I am outside this corrupt sheriff's department in Sumner County. And as soon as I show up, Craddock and his cronies leave. I don't blame him. Personally. What does he want? What does he think they're going to do? Come out and he's going to call them corrupt? So he said, they keep coming to the middle window to see if I've left yet. I mean, they could have had him arrested if they were that corrupt. So I don't know. So every now and again he puts posts up about other missing teenagers, etc., which is nice because he's got a bigger following, of course. Oh. So I'm not anti-Seth or anything, but I just wish he would go about things a different way. And he is in bed with the wrong bedfellows. He should be working with the police, not working with Dog the bloody bounty hunter, for God's sake. I don't think he'll get anywhere with Dog the bounty hunter, to be honest. At all. Don't know what you get for nothing, Angel. No lives. No members only lives that he promises. There's nothing. It says shout out in it, but he shouts out to everyone when he's in chats. He's looking for his he's looking for what people are donating to him. I'm not against him being donated. If he needs money for posters to go around the country searching for Sebastian and that's good, but he's not showing any signs of what he's doing. He's not showing signs of anything that he's actively doing at the moment. So where is the money? People don't mind donating. A lot of people care about Sebastian. And, it's good that they want to donate to help to find him, but they're not donating to Seth. They're donating to help find Sebastian. So he's got to show that he's doing something. He's got to, if you're going to appeal for money like that, you've at least got to do something for it. I'm not against, obviously, memberships and things like that and appeals to help find his son. I'm not against that at all, but he's not actually, what is he doing except irritating the police, which is not helping at all. He could be there you can put pressure on the police in a different way, can't you? And I do believe that families, they do have to put pressure on the police when they've got a missing loved one, because the police have got a million missing loved ones to deal with. So the more pressure you put on them, in a nice way, though, as you say, David, you catch more bees with honey than vinegar. There's a way of dealing with it. You can make yourself irritating, but not, actually so irritating that they hate you and they want to arrest you. And, I think the police would understand that. Most police, they would understand that you'd want to find your child. But Steph, right from day one, when he was on all those YouTube channels, which he stopped doing that, so now he's got his own YouTube channel, but he's not even on that now. So I don't know what Steph is doing. I don't know if he's still working. He said he is working, and other people say he's not working. This rumour mill just goes around. I don't know. And it's none of my business anyway. I don't like this sort of, they could say Team Sebastian, or what they call it, the green team. And there's only Sebastian that matters. It doesn't matter whether you support Chris and Katie or support Seth. Not supporting them. I support Sebastian. Whatever happened to Sebastian, whatever it takes to find out what happened to Sebastian, that's all that matters. And, Seth should, in my opinion, be doing everything he can to work with whoever can help him find his son, not to antagonize him and make it all more difficult, Anyway, I thought I'd let you know about that because it's been a long time since we've had any update on Sebastian. I look for news about Sebastian every day. Is one of those cases that started off following. I will carry on following until there's some resolution, one way or another, if I live to see it, So another case that we were following that I'm going to talk about tonight, hopefully. If not, it'll be tomorrow morning, but I'm going to go and try and do it tonight. It's a case of Victoria Taylor. This is a British case. And this was a lady who, again, went missing, unfortunately. And she went missing near a river. She was seen in the morning buying alcohol at a local, let me get a photo up and see if you remember her. Yeah, this poor woman, Victoria or Vix Taylor, she had a little girl. Don't know if you remember her, but she went missing it took quite a long time to find her body. They found some of her items along the riverbank. And there was a lot of conjecture about what had happened for her. It was thought generally that she wouldn't have done anything to herself by people who didn't know her, because it turns out that she had been thinking about self-deletion apparently for quite a long time. And it just shows you, I've seen her Facebook pictures. It just seems she was an adoring mum to her little girl. But you don't know. People are fighting battles. You just don't know. You look at that picture of her. She's smiling. You look at her pictures on Facebook with her partner and her little girl. It all looks lovely. She was a nurse. She was a very caring person, a lovely person. Anyway, so her inquest, I'm going to go through her inquest, what we know about her inquest, because it turns out that she was in need of mental health support and she was left without it. So what the inquest seems to be finding is that, the lack of care, mental support for this poor woman led to her death. And that's we're going to talk about later on today. So yeah, very sad case, but now things are coming out. Now, we didn't know all this at the time. The family will have known this. The family will have known that she'd actually tried to self-delete before, and she was suffering with these mental health issues. But if you looked at her Facebook, just like with everybody, social media is a load of rubbish, really, isn't it, for trying to gauge what somebody's like. All these pictures of the smiley faces and the family, this, that, and the other, means absolutely nothing. You just don't know what's going on behind the scenes, do you? So that's what I'm going to be talking about probably later tonight, if not in the morning. Okay, so I might actually wash my hair before then. It looks like I've been dragged through a hedge backwards. Yeah, I covered it quite extensively, didn't I, Angel? Do you remember it? Because it was another case of a woman disappearing near a river. And, of course, there's been a lot of those cases. But, apparently she had talked of putting herself in the river. She had talked about it before. So she had all these issues. But what they're saying is her death was a result of systematic failure in the NHS for mental health issues. We all know mental health is a massive thing, and it's not dealt with properly, not in the UK anyway, probably not in most countries. In Spain, you certainly don't have to wait as long as you do in the UK for help. And there are quite a lot of, I know from experience, there are places you can go, there is help available, but of course you have to be able to speak Spanish, so that's the thing. But there are social services in Spain, just like in the UK. I personally know of people that have had a very positive result from that. But you know, there is a point. Mental health is so complicated. If somebody really wants to take their own life, you know, sometimes I do wonder, can you really do anything about it? Ultimately, you can help, of course, as much as possible. But when people are determined, you know, and it is their right at the end of the day, you know, people have dominion over their own lives, don't they? So if they decide to do it, although we might look at and not understand, especially if they're leaving children behind and things like that, it is their choice, isn't it? And we're going to talk about that a little bit tonight. So yeah, that's true. That's true, Angel. The only family that I've got in the UK that have needed, you know, support, they've had to go and pay, you know, otherwise they'll be waiting 2 years. Oh, you know what? We got a mental health emergency. 2 years, they would definitely be dead by then, or they'd got better themselves. You know, because mental health can resolve itself as well with the right treatment, tablets and stuff, or even just, you know, you just never know. Mental health is that complex, isn't it? It literally can improve suddenly, but just as easy as that, it can then deteriorate again suddenly. You just don't know. You literally can get up one morning and feel great and get up the next morning and feel crap. This is what our minds are so powerful, aren't they? You know, and mental health to me is more dangerous than physical health, you know, problems. Thing is, if you break your leg, or even if you have cancer or any other life-threatening illness, it gets dealt with. People can see that you're receiving treatment. When you've got mental health issues, although that people will go on their social media and say, oh, be kind and do this and do that, when it comes to actual real life, they don't think about people's mental health at all, you know. So, and they don't understand when someone has a mental health issue. They just criticize people. But, you know, mental health is a big thing and people are dealing with it day in, day out, aren't they? And, you know, trying to cope. And not only that, I think another thing that I personally think is overlooked is how it is for the family to deal with it. They should receive more support, because if you've got someone in your family with mental health issues living in your home, or not, but one of your loved ones, that's difficult for the person who's dealing with it. It can lead to deterioration in their mental health because it's bloody hard to deal with, to cope with. You know, so the person themselves is going through hell because they've got the mental health issues. But the people who love them, or their family, or whoever's living with them, their wives or their children or anyone, they're going through hell as well. Everyone's going through hell as far as mental health issues are concerned, isn't it? So, okay, I'm going to go off, and hopefully I'll see you later on tonight. Thank you for caring about Sebastian. So I want to send out some prayers, you know, for Sebastian, of course, but also for his family, for Seth, for Katie and Chris, for everybody who's been affected by, you know, directly affected by Sebastian's disappearance. I just hope they get some answers soon. I really do. Anyway, I'll see you really soon in the next video. And until then, may your God go with you. Bye. Oh, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank